Be prepared, because what is unfolding before you is not just another ordinary night. Something rare, something unsettling, and something undeniably powerful has arrived. The black moon is here, and its presence tears through the sky like a rip in the fabric of reality itself. This is not the quiet new moon you may have read about in astrology blogs or heard about in passing conversations. No, this night carries a very different energy. Forget the descriptions of gentle resets and subtle whispers from the cosmos. Tonight is not gentle. Tonight is not subtle. Tonight is a rupture, a break in the ordinary flow of time and space. A moment when the universe reveals that the rules you thought were fixed can, in fact, bend and even shatter. The black moon is not an everyday occurrence. It is rare, unpredictable, unapologetic, and almost mischievous in the way it refuses to fit inside the patterns we expect. When it rises, it doesn't knock politely at the door of your awareness. It doesn't pause to ask if you are ready. Instead, it pulls you in without permission, dragging you through an energetic threshold where the hidden becomes exposed and the unseen begins to stir. And perhaps the most startling truth of all is that this energy is already working on you, whether you are conscious of it or not. From the moment the black moon rose, a hidden clock began to tick. It is a countdown, a spiritual race against time, a test of awareness, and a reminder that portals never stay open forever. This particular opening lingers only for a few days, and yet within these days, entire lifetimes of lessons can unfold. Those who sense it, those who can pay attention to the subtle shifts in the air, are already one step ahead. But when the countdown ends, not everyone will step through the same doorway. Some will walk forward changed forever, while others may find themselves stuck in the loops of old patterns, still blind to what was offered to them. That is why awareness right now is not just useful, it is absolutely essential. If you are sensitive to energy, this black moon may feel like an amplifier turned all the way up. Your intuition, usually a quiet whisper, now roars like a storm. It's as if your inner radar suddenly tunes into hidden frequencies you didn't even know existed. You may notice small things in conversations that you normally overlook, the pauses, the loopholes, the unspoken motives behind someone's words. You may begin to see patterns hidden in plain sight, shortcuts to opportunities that others are walking past, and truths that were always there but cloaked until this very moment. For a time, it feels like you've been given a gift, the ability to see through the noise of the world and glimpse what lies beneath. But with every gift comes its shadow. The same heightened awareness that feels like clarity can quickly turn into a trap. When you see too much, you may begin to doubt everything. You may spiral into second-guessing, questioning whether the signs are real or just illusions, suspecting motives where none exist, and spinning in paranoia over things that don't truly matter. It's like being handed X-ray vision and then realizing that if you stare too long, the very lines of reality begin to blur. That is why the black moon is not simply a blessing. It is also a test. It doesn't hand you answers neatly packaged. It asks, can you handle the gift of insight without letting it burn you out? This is where trust becomes your anchor. Trust what feels right, but resist the urge to obsess over every detail. If you try to decode every hidden message, you'll find the portal reflecting your intensity right back at you, turning the mirror inward until you're trapped in your own mind. This is not a time for obsession, it is a time for balance. And when it comes to manifestation, this black moon flips the script completely. You've been told that manifestation requires effort, visualizing, scripting, working hard, grinding, forcing yourself into alignment. But the black moon laughs at that rule book. Under this portal, the less you try, the more you gain. This is the paradox of blackout manifestation. The ones who thrive in this energy are not the ones hustling endlessly or pushing themselves into exhaustion. They are the ones who dare to sit still, who allow the darkness to wrap around them without resistance, who trust that the unseen forces are rearranging the board behind the curtain. This is not laziness. This is surrender. It is courage of a different kind. The courage to let go of control and watch as the universe shifts the chessboard in your favor without your constant interference. Ask yourself, how many times have you clung to control, terrified of letting things unfold naturally? How many times have you tried to push the river, only to exhaust yourself in the process? The black moon is testing you here. Can you let go? Can you be still long enough to realize that the game is moving even without your hand on the pieces? Those who can hold that stillness, who can resist the temptation to meddle, will find that doors open on their own, people align effortlessly, and opportunities arrive at the perfect moment, not because they forced it, but because they trusted. Most people can't do this. Most people fidget, stress, and overthink themselves out of alignment. They cling tighter when the energy is asking them to loosen their grip. And that is where they miss the miracle. Sometimes the boldest move is refusing to move at all. The black moon does not reward desperation. It rewards faith. It rewards the rare few who can sit in the dark, heart open, spirit surrendered, and trust that the unseen is already working for them. And here's something most won't tell you. The black moon has a sense of humor, and it can be ruthless. Over the next few days, expect the universe to play tricks on you. Not to punish you, but to test you. To shake your grip on certainty and remind you that you're not in control of the script. You might run into the exact person you swore you'd avoid, or watch plans crumble just when you thought they were secure. You may be blindsided by events that make no logical sense, leaving you wondering why the universe seems to be laughing at you. But pause for a moment and ask yourself, what if it's not cruelty, but divine comedy? What if these disruptions are designed to show you that life is not a rigid plan, but a living story unfolding before your eyes? The black moon is the moment when the universe breaks the script, when the stage lights shift, and you suddenly realize you're not just acting in the play. You're also the one being awakened by it. This is why the energy feels so strange, so intense, so unrelenting. Because it is shaking you awake, daring you to see through the illusion and reminding you that you are part of something much larger than yourself. So breathe. Surrender. Let the black moon do its work. Let the chaos unfold without rushing to fix it. Trust that the shadows carry their own wisdom, and that even in the strangest, most unsettling moments, you are being guided toward transformation. This portal will not remain open forever, but the lessons it delivers will echo long after it closes. And if you can stand still in its darkness without fear, you will discover that the black moon was never here to destroy you. It was here to show you that even in the deepest night, you are not lost. You are becoming. Life often has a way of pulling the rug out from under us, not to punish us, but to remind us of how little control we truly hold. You think you're walking in a straight line, confident about where you're headed, only to stumble and find yourself in a place you never planned on. Reversed fortunes, awkward timing, unexpected blunders that feel too absurd to be random. These are not accidents. They are the universe's way of playing its cosmic jokes, not to frustrate you, but to loosen the grip of the illusion you've been clinging to. The trick is never about avoiding these surprises, but in how you respond to them when they arrive. Do you panic when your careful structures collapse, when your well-built plans crumble into dust? Or do you step back, breathe, and even laugh, realizing that maybe, just maybe, the universe has rerouted you towards something far more wild, far more alive, far more true than the path you thought you controlled? Because here's the hidden truth. If you fight the joke, you'll miss the punchline. If you resist the slip-ups and try to force them into the mold of your expectations, you will only end up weary, bitter, and closed off. But if you laugh with the universe, if you let yourself catch the rhythm of its strange sense of humor, you'll discover that beneath the chaos rides a blessing, a message, a gift wrapped in confusion. The stranger and funnier the coincidences become, the more you'll begin to see that the black moon isn't playing tricks on you at all. It is showing you how fragile certainty really is. And when you finally stop fearing the loss of control, when you release the desperate need to know what comes next, you'll begin to move through this portal with freedom instead of resistance. So when the prank hits, don't let anger or frustration consume you. Smile. Pause. Feel the wink of the universe behind it. Because behind every cosmic joke lies a revelation, and the universe only teases those who are ready to awaken, those who are ready to be shaken out of sleep and into something real. Most people drift through life chasing after a horizon that never arrives. They collect endless ideas, dabble in fleeting passions, daydream about someday, and whisper to themselves, maybe later, and they call that living. But this black moon does not care about the collection of your potentials. It doesn't care about the coulds or maybes you've stacked up like coins you never spend. This portal is not interested in who you might become. It's pulling you, sometimes gently, but often violently, straight into who you were born to be. Potential is only the outline. Purpose is the masterpiece. And right now, the universe is sweeping away every excuse that has kept you from painting it. Think about that dream you shelved years ago because it felt impossible. The one you told yourself was too risky, too wild, too impractical for the life others expected you to live. Remember that passion you buried deep because it didn't fit the shape of the world you were handed. Recall that idea you delayed again and again, not because it wasn't good enough, but because you were scared of failing before you even tried. The black moon is shaking the dust off all of these forgotten treasures, pulling them back into your hands, asking you if you're finally ready to stop hiding. And here's the truth. It isn't asking you to sit down with a notebook and write out neat intentions. It isn't about being inspired for a few days and then sliding back into old habits. The energy of this portal is blunt, raw, and unrelenting. It pushes you into situations where you can either step into alignment with your true mission or face the sharp discomfort of knowing you're ignoring it. There is no more safe middle ground. That is why so many are restless now, unable to sit still in the lives they've built. The portal presses against every false layer of identity, stripping away the shoulds and somedays until nothing remains but your truest calling. And it is relentless. You can delay the truth if you want. You can try to bury it under routines and distractions, but the pressure will only build, and it will keep building until you finally answer. This is the moment where you are not just invited, but compelled to recognize what you're here to do. It might be creative, it might be spiritual, it might be a kind of purpose so simple you've overlooked it again and again. But whatever it is rising now, demanding movement, demanding a voice, demanding action. No more waiting, no more excuses. No more hiding behind the illusion of someday. You are not being gently invited to plan this time. You are being dared to act. The black moon does not care if you feel prepared, because nobody ever feels ready when they step into their purpose. That is what makes it a leap instead of a hobby. If you feel that unmistakable pull tonight, don't run from it. Don't hide behind the word potential anymore, because this portal isn't opening a neat little door. It's pushing you straight through it. And once you land on the other side, there will be no going back. The black moon does not simply shift the sky above, it rewires the very body beneath it. And during this portal, your energy may no longer obey the familiar patterns you're used to. Some of you will fall into sleep so deep, so consuming, it will feel like you've been transported into another dimension. You'll wake up with fragments of vivid dreams, pieces of images and sensations that feel more real than waking life itself. Others will find sleep refusing to arrive at all, lying wide awake until dawn, buzzing with restless energy, wired but not crashing, charged with something you cannot explain. This is not exhaustion. This is not chaos. The black moon does not drain you. It rearranges you. It breaks the cycles you've been stuck in and refuses to let you keep running on the same tired loops. You may lay down expecting exhaustion to win, only to feel your mind click on like a lighthouse beacon, alive with new currents of thought. Or you may close your eyes and instantly sink into the kind of restorative stillness you've been craving for years. Both are extremes of the same force. Both are proof that the portal is recalibrating the way your energy flows. It is not random. Nothing about this is random. Think of it as your inner wiring being reset, broken connections repaired, outdated circuits ripped out and rebuilt. The energy is not concerned with what feels comfortable or predictable to your human schedule. Its concern is with freedom, alignment, and truth. If you've been grinding yourself into exhaustion, this portal might knock you out, forcing rest no matter how stubbornly you resist. If you've been stagnant, stuck in fear, hiding from your calling, it might flood you with intensity that refuses to let you sit still another moment. Either way, the black moon does not play by the rules of ordinary time. It doesn't care about your calendars, alarms, or bedtime routines. It runs on cosmic rhythm, wild and untamed, pulling you into its current whether or not you think you're ready. And that is the beauty of it. Because in surrendering, in releasing the illusion that you have to hold the reins at all times, you discover a freedom more real than anything you've planned. There is something strange about this timing, and if you pay close attention, You'll notice it in the quality of energy around you. It doesn't feel like the usual rhythms you're accustomed to. Food doesn't seem to land in your body the same way. A cup of coffee might taste the same, yet it no longer behaves the same inside you. Sometimes it does nothing at all, leaving you flat, as though it has lost its magic. Other times it can send you spiraling into a state that feels like stepping sideways into another reality altogether. Even the most ordinary routines, waking, sleeping, working, resting, begin to feel unsteady, unpredictable, almost unreliable, as if your body is syncing itself to something much larger than your own little system. In this space, energy isn't really lost, and it isn't really gained. It is reassigned, redirected, shifted into currents that run far beyond you. That's why your nights may feel endless, why your mornings seem strangely unreal, why the line between dream and waking begins to blur into something you can't define. And when that happens, don't mistake it for a flaw. These distortions aren't errors. They are signals, signs that something powerful is moving through you. They mean that the black moon has reached into the deepest parts of your system and turned the settings upside down. The question then arises, what happens when you finally realize that your energy is no longer entirely your own, but has become part of something vast, something ancient, something that watches from the shadows? Because the black moon doesn't sleep. It waits. It watches while you surrender to sleep, and in that thin space between waking and not, it slips through the cracks of your mind. It reaches into the architecture of your dreams and begins to twist it, reshape it, bend it into new forms. This isn't gentle, and it's not symbolic in the simple way people like to believe. These are not soft, comforting metaphors wrapped in fairy tale imagery. These dreams are transmissions, raw and unfiltered, warped and pulsing with a force your conscious mind can barely hold. They don't arrive neatly packaged with explanations. They arrive with weight, pressing into your chest, clinging to your skin, vibrating inside your bones. You wake up drenched in the echo of something you cannot explain, an image that won't leave you, a feeling that lingers on your body long after morning light, a certainty, unshakable, that you just came back from somewhere real. And though the dream may seem strange, chaotic, fragmented, some part of you knows deep inside it was not random. It was sent. It was aimed at you with intention. These dreams are not ordinary. They do not follow the rules of logic or time. They bend reality, erase boundaries, swap familiar faces into unfamiliar roles, and fold the past into the future as though the two have always been intertwined. Sometimes it feels invasive, as though someone else, or something else, is dreaming through you. You might meet people you haven't thought about in years, suddenly alive in your mind, acting out scenes that never truly happened, yet feel like they easily could have. You might find yourself in cities you've never walked, speaking languages your waking self doesn't know, having conversations with versions of yourself that belong to lives you've never lived. And when you wake, the strangeness does not dissolve. Instead, it leaves you with a deep, unsettling certainty that it mattered, that the dream was not a trick of the mind, but a piece of a greater design. That's the black moon's mark. It doesn't just hand you a dream. It plants a code hidden inside chaos. And when you try to untangle it with the rational waking mind, it only slips further away. Because the truth of it isn't meant to be solved like a riddle. It lies in resonance, in the echo of how it made you feel, in what it stirred awake inside you, in the memories or emotions it pulled to the surface without permission. For some, it will not stop with one dream. Night after night, the experiences stack like layered scripts. Storylines evolve across multiple sleeps, characters return, settings repeat and grow stranger, and the portal uses these dreams like threads to weave messages across time. At first, it feels like nonsense. But gradually, the fragments begin to align. The scattered pieces start forming a language that you feel more than you understand. And still, you mustn't expect clarity to arrive in words. These dreams are not here to be decoded like puzzles. They are here to rewire you, to bypass the mind's defenses, to slip past the ego's filters, and deliver something ancient directly into your system. Sometimes what arrives is a memory you had forgotten. Sometimes it's a warning. Sometimes it is a vision of a possibility not yet lived, but already existing on some invisible timeline. And here is the strangest part. It's not just you. The black moon doesn't always whisper to one soul alone. It broadcasts. Its transmissions spill into the dreams of many at once. And when you speak to others, you'll discover something uncanny. People scattered across the world, people you may never meet, people whose lives barely touch yours, quietly experiencing the same dream textures. The imagery overlaps. The emotions match. The frequency is shared. Whole communities of souls walking the same metaphysical corridors in the dark, unaware until a conversation brings the recognition. That is when it clicks. The black moon has stitched its threads through not just you, but through the collective. And you begin to wonder, what edge were you standing on before you fell asleep? What version of you is reaching out from the other side of the veil? What truth have you hidden from yourself so deeply that it could only arrive under the safety of sleep? That is the black moon's brilliance. It knows your conscious defenses are too strong in the daylight, so it waits until you let go. And then it delivers, not with permission, but with precision. Once that seed has been planted, it no longer matters if you understand it right away. It doesn't need your understanding. It grows in silence, roots itself in the shadows, and blooms in its own time. And so, when you close your eyes tonight, know this: you are not simply drifting into sleep. You are entering. Entering what, you ask? Entering a realm where energy is reassigned, where dreams are not dreams but transmissions, where the black moon has been waiting for you. There is a strange kind of transmission that happens in these moments, one that rarely makes sense in the light of morning, yet leaves you changed in a way you can't quite explain. You might not remember every detail of the night, but something inside you shifts, and without knowing when or how, you wake up feeling like someone else has stepped into your skin. It's subtle, yet undeniable. You'll notice yourself standing up in the middle of an idle hour, walking straight into a task you've been putting off for weeks. Not because you forced yourself into discipline, not because you battled resistance, but because something deeper called you to it. And this time, there is no friction, no inner war, no struggle. The task doesn't feel like a mountain. Instead, it unfolds as if it had been waiting for this exact moment, tucked away in the pocket of the universe, waiting for the portal to tilt time in your favor. At first, it can feel disorienting. Projects you expected to take hours begin to piece themselves together in mere minutes. Obstacles that once towered in front of you dissolve like mist vanishing under the first rays of morning light. Conversations you once dreaded, the kind that you thought would come out awkward or tangled, suddenly move with ease, as though they've already been rehearsed in another dimension where everything is smoother, lighter, freer. You're not becoming smarter overnight. You're not even suddenly stronger. What's really happening is that you're stepping into a frequency that exists just outside your usual rhythm, a place you could never quite reach before. And when you touch it, it almost feels like cheating, like reality itself is suddenly handing you shortcuts you never asked for, like the rules that usually bind you have quietly collapsed while no one was watching. The gatekeepers are asleep. The resistance is hushed. And in this silence, you don't move faster, you move cleaner. It's no longer like pushing water uphill, no longer like forcing yourself against the current. Instead, you find yourself carried by a stream that seems to know where you're going, even if you don't. It's not about effort now. It's about surrender. But here's the catch. You must seize it while it's real, because this flow is not permanent. It's not a new baseline you can claim forever. It is a ripple in the greater code, a temporary bending of the rules, a window of clarity that opens only when the black moon leans close to the bones of reality. And like every rare window, it closes. When it does, the old resistance returns, the friction creeps back in, and the noise that always fills the edges of your mind begins humming again. That's why hesitation is the great enemy here. If you wait, if you overthink, if you hold back and wait for motivation to strike, the door will vanish before you realize it was ever there. This moment isn't about hype. It's not about planning or preparation. It's about recognizing when you've slipped into a strange current that doesn't obey your usual rules and daring to follow it without second-guessing. You follow the pull even if it seems illogical, especially if it seems illogical. Because logic doesn't rule this place. Flow does. And when you surrender to that flow, it doesn't just check off your to-do list. It begins to stir the deeper layers of your life. This is when the things you've buried under years of hesitation begin to move. The conversation you couldn't face suddenly spills out of your mouth without effort, and it lands in perfect rhythm. The project you abandoned as too difficult suddenly comes alive, pouring out of you in ways that are richer, fuller, and far better than you ever imagined. It isn't because you suddenly became capable. It's because the wall that once held you back simply isn't there anymore. For a fleeting time, the void clears the path, and it does so not because of your strength, but because of its own mysterious design. All it asks of you is that you notice the invitation and step forward before the door shuts again. Not every opening stays open forever. Some appear only once, and if you blink, they're gone. And if you miss it, you'll spend the coming weeks feeling that haunting sensation, that everything was so close, within reach, almost yours, and then it slipped away. And later, you'll look back and wonder at how impossible those things once felt. You'll marvel that the mountain was ever so tall, that the block was ever so heavy, when now you know the truth. It was never the task that was hard, it was the gate that was closed. The black moon doesn't shout. It doesn't announce itself with lightning in the sky or thunder in your soul. That's where many get trapped, waiting for some dramatic sign, something loud enough to convince them that this is the moment. But the portal doesn't work that way. It whispers. It brushes against you lightly, the way a breeze passes your cheek, the way a scent catches in the air and lingers long enough to turn your head. It circles you like a shadow, waiting to see if you notice its movement, and then it waits. It's quiet, patient, subtle. Right now, reality is humming with threads you can't fully see, though you brush against them every day. They pull at the corner of your awareness like static in the background of silence. You notice yourself drawn to a word, a number, a memory, a sound you can't explain. A face drifts into your mind, someone you haven't thought about in years, and then, as if summoned, they appear. You walk into a room and forget why, but the sensation lingers, as though you were led there by something beyond memory. That lingering is not confusion. That lingering is alignment, tugging at you, trying to guide you to the doorway. The messages won't arrive with neon lights or banners. They arrive as repetitions, as echoes. Something repeats itself 3, 4, 5 times until you can no longer ignore it. That's when you pause. That's when it hits you. The universe wasn't silent. You were simply not listening close enough. And that, above all, is the gift of the black moon. It doesn't just open portals. It sharpens your senses. It pulls your gaze away from the noise long enough to notice what has been shimmering in the background all along. And if you trust it, if you dare to follow the thread that makes no sense, you'll find yourself stepping into the very place you once believed impossible. It begins by pulling you away from the constant noise you've grown addicted to and setting you down inside the silence you usually try to escape. That silence is not empty, though it might feel unsettling at first. Within it, symbols begin to stir and dance. A phrase you overhear on the street suddenly lands with eerie perfection. A lyric repeats itself in your mind as though the universe is humming directly into your bones. A single line in a movie stops you in your tracks, as if it was written into the script of your life and placed there just for you. A stranger speaks the exact sentence you needed to hear, and it feels as though their mouth was simply the messenger of a higher hand that already knew what you were waiting for. These aren't random details, and you don't need to chase them like lost treasures scattered across your day. They arrive on their own, slipping quietly into your awareness, but their presence is not ornamental. The portal of this moment isn't decorating your reality with curiosities. It is guiding you through a maze you didn't even realize you were lost inside. Ignore them, brush them off as mere coincidence, and the maze only grows denser, the path more difficult, until eventually even the doorway you were meant to walk through feels almost invisible. The most powerful messages that pass through this portal are not the ones that flatter your rational mind, because the rational mind will fight to erase them. That is why logic becomes a dangerous ally in times like these. Logic works like a filter that strips the magic from the signs before you've had the chance to feel them. It whispers that your sudden chills are meaningless, that the words repeating around you are nothing but chance, that your goosebumps have no reason. But intuition knows better. Intuition holds memory older than language. It notices the flicker in someone's eyes, the subtle shift in the atmosphere, the invisible pulse that moves through your body long before your mind has words to name it. When a true message finally reaches you, really reaches you, it doesn't just brush against your awareness, it stops you. It lands with a peculiar weight, a strange density in your chest, almost like a memory you never lived yet somehow know. It feels as if something ancient and sacred has spoken your name aloud after centuries of silence. That is how you recognize it as real, not because it makes perfect sense when written down, but because it bypasses every thought and pierces straight into the marrow, ringing like a bell that only you can hear. This portal is not delivering neat instruction manuals. It is not offering clear maps or carefully labeled steps. Instead, it drops fragments, codes, half-remembered truths, pieces of the greater whole disguised as ordinary moments. You are not meant to decode them all in one sitting. You are meant to trust, to follow the trail without knowing the destination, to let the pattern pull you long before the picture becomes clear. And if you do, you will discover something astonishing. The messages were never truly hidden. They were waiting, patient and steady, waiting for the one soul brave enough to see what others dismiss, waiting for the one person willing to look with more than just their eyes. Because the truth is this, these signs were never random. They were written for you. And now that you've noticed them, they won't stop. They will echo and ripple through your days, weaving themselves into conversations, appearances, and rhythms until you can no longer pretend they are not there. Everything around you may even begin to blur, to look strangely repetitive, as though reality itself has started to peel at the seams. That eerie sensation that rises within you during this black moon is not just in your head. It is the world itself thinning. Layers of the surface reality struggle to hold their shape. Everyday life begins to resemble a stage play that's been running too long, the paint cracking on the set, the backdrop sagging under the weight of time. Conversations start to feel scripted, rehearsed, hollow. You might even sense the hidden teleprompter behind society's mask. And yet, while these manufactured parts of life crumble into monotony, nature reveals itself with piercing clarity. The wind feels heavier, as though it carries a presence. The sky deepens into something almost infinite. Even silence thickens, no longer the void you once avoided, but a presence that presses close, undeniable. This black moon pulls back the curtain, separating what is alive from what is merely pretending to be. And once your eyes have adjusted to that vision, you cannot unsee it. The cracks will remain. The illusion cannot stitch itself neatly back together. So pay attention. Notice the words that echo again and again. The strange events that feel too placed to be accidental. The people whose faces suddenly reveal depths you never noticed. Reality, once torn, remains open. And through that opening, something new can enter. Fear will shout the loudest in these moments, because fear knows transformation is near. Fear thrives in the final seconds before change, and it will try to drown you in doubt. But this black moon has been misunderstood for so long. It has been feared, named as chaos, branded with misfortune, cast as a dark omen meant to terrify. People recoil at its name as if it were a threat waiting to swallow all light. But the truth is gentler, though no less powerful. That fear is not born from truth, but from misunderstanding. Yes, this moon is rare. Yes, it is intense. But it is not here to destroy you. It is here to reveal you. To show you your own reflection, your patterns, your shadows, your fears, and above all, your power. And of course, that kind of revelation unsettles people. It makes them restless, even frightened. They run from it. But the unease you feel is not a sign of danger. It is a sign that the ground beneath your feet is shifting, that something too vast for words is stirring. There is a reason this moon carries so much weight in spirit and in myth. It was never meant to comfort you. It was never meant to keep you wrapped in the safety of what you already know. It is here to test the edges of what you've outgrown, to place you face to face with the illusions you've leaned on, and to invite you into something far larger than the narrow corridors of logic. And when it calls, the question is not whether the signs are real, but whether you are ready to see them. Something unfamiliar is arriving, something that doesn't quite fit into the usual rhythm of your days. At first glance, the human instinct is to tense up, to prepare for the worst, to assume that anything unfamiliar must be a threat. But that assumption isn't the truth. This energy isn't here to punish you, and it isn't here to drag you into despair. Instead, it is here to awaken you. An awakening, as you already know deep within, does not always come wrapped in comfort, softness, or ease. True awakening often arrives with edges that cut, with shadows that confuse, and with moments that demand your full presence. The black moon carries both sides of the spectrum. It is not simply gentle or destructive, it is both at once. It can bring piercing clarity one moment and overwhelming confusion the next. It can expand your vision, your spirit, and your opportunities, yet at the same time it may collapse structures you once thought were unshakable. It can align you with paths you were destined to walk, while also disrupting the very ground you stand on. This paradox is not a mistake. It is the way transformation always works. Real change does not rise from still waters or peaceful stagnation. Real change comes when pressure builds, when the weight of what no longer fits forces you into something new. And what you choose to do with that pressure is what will ultimately define the outcome of this cycle for you. Many people, when faced with this kind of disruption, will only see the discomfort. They will label the experience as negative. They will say this black moon brings bad luck, bad feelings, and bad timing. They will convince themselves that the universe is against them because they cannot see beyond the surface of what is happening. But their story is only half the truth. The other half, the half most people never recognize, is that this moon does not just break things down, it also opens doors. It offers a rare chance, a hidden mirror, a long-lost key. And while others may miss that deeper invitation, you are already one step ahead. You've walked through storms before with your eyes open. You know what it means to stand inside the chaos and still notice the patterns, the messages, the signs that point beyond fear. Unlike those who stumble in the dark, you are not blind to the shifts that are unfolding now. You have seen them, felt them, and allowed yourself to listen to the truth that hides beneath the surface. That awareness has become your anchor. That insight is now your shield. It will carry you through the strange days ahead, keeping you steady so you do not fall for illusions or mistake discomfort for danger. Yes, this portal will stretch you. Yes, it may shake loose things you thought were secure. It might even demand that you shed layers you have outgrown, even if you weren't ready to release them. But the difference is that you won't be caught off guard. You won't mistake endings for destruction, because you understand now that every rupture is also a beginning. You will move with this shift rather than against it. You will navigate it, use it, and allow it to sculpt you into someone even stronger, wiser, and more aligned. Because now, you know the truth. This black moon is not the end. It is the moment where everything changes. And whether you notice it in subtle whispers or sudden waves, it has already begun. The portal is open, and you are walking through it with awareness that most around you cannot yet see. If you are still here with me, I want to pause and thank you for sharing this space, for giving your time and your attention. If this message resonated with you, and if you'd like to continue receiving more insights like this, please consider subscribing. Your support truly means more than words can express, and I would love to hear from you. Share your own experiences, your reflections, or the shifts you felt under this moon in the comments below. Until we meet again, take care of yourself, stay open, and remember, this is not the end. It is the threshold of change, and you are ready.